Hey, welcome to this super exciting episode of, what are we in, Trevor? August?
Everything's flying by.
Flying by. August Market Shakedown here in Jacksonville. We're so busy, we're just going to have to shoot from the hip today. No intricate notes, nothing crazy. We're just going to roll.
I'm just going to flicker the whole time. So, sorry about that.
I'm excited about it.
I love technology.
I don't know if you noticed this hat here. This is a 5950 authentic MLB collection Miami Vice jumbo shrimp hat, which I'm wearing because I'm going to the game tonight.
Sweet hat.
Apparently, jumbo shrimp are making a playoff appearance this year, so that's cool. I tried to go online and look at the standings, and even though it's easy to follow MLB standings, it's not easy to follow the minor league. It's like they don't really care enough to post about it.
And there's so many divisions of minor league that I think it'd be a lot to try to keep up with. So.
Right, because they play a ton of games, but then you go look at their schedule and they're 24-15. And you're like, they played more games than that. But I guess it's because they kind of are in all these different divisions. And so it's only giving you the division of that matters. I don't know what that is. I don't know how it works. I got one other thing for you. Check this out. I got a box here and a little unboxing. This is a special. I'm doing this because you see this? Look at these skulls. This is the wallpaper. Next time you watch this video, this is going to be plastered all over that wall.
Nice.
Yeah. Very cool, right? I got a big thing for skulls and rock and roll and other things, so I figure, well, why not? I'm going to make my office my own. All right, so we survived summer, kind of. Technically, summer doesn't end until September 22nd is the first day of fall. And I've been saying all year to my business partners, to you, to my clients, to everybody, I'm like, if we can just survive summer, I think we're going to have a breakthrough and we're going to have a great year. And we are dwindling down. I'd say we're at phase 1 of surviving summer, and that's the fact that kids went back to school.
Yeah, it's been a huge win in my house.
Let me ask you this. Did you feel like for the back to school season, for the back to school process, I might as well have taken 2 weeks of vacation, because the amount of meet the teacher, parent association, then mandatory tech meeting because they use iPads and all this stuff. And it's they schedule this stuff every day. The teachers came back to school 2 weeks ago and they were like, you're mine, parents. The kids had you all summer, but now you're mine. Get in here. So it was kind of hard as I'm trying to focus on work and everything else. All of a sudden it's back to school season. So I think we're kind of past that. So phase 1 of surviving summer, I think it starts at that July 4th, right? We talked about that before. July 4th slowdown, that lasts for about 2 weeks, and we roll into August, and then everybody's focused on back to school, and that's phase 1. And then the next phase is officially fall, and normally our market is trending down and slowing down, but it's kind of been slow. But what's going on with rates? Rates have been slipping a little bit.
Yeah, rates have been slipping. So we have seen a nice drop, really to the point where we've been reaching out on some refinances. I know that's a word we haven't talked about in a while, but rates are in a pretty good position. But I still think that there is a hesitancy. I don't know if you're seeing that, but people always say, I'll wait till the rates drop, and then the rates drop, and then they're like, oh, I'm gonna wait till they drop further. So it's I don't know. It's a really kind of odd market. I feel like that we're in right now, but the rates are coming down, so I think there's a pretty good window right now.
It's odd because it's relatively normal, but it doesn't feel normal because it was such a frenzy. It was such a frenzy, and there was such an increase. And I think so many people's expectations on both sides, seller and buyer side, was this quick hurry up market. And because it was such a quick hurry up market, buyers have seemed to kind of sideline themselves, they don't want to compete. And sellers are reluctant. They're surprised that their house is taking more than a day to sell, even though we tell them up front. I think what's happening is it's our job. We're kind of constantly educating them, but then you have to be delicate with it because you don't want to come across as the uneducated amateur that's always saying, buy, right? You actually have to bring data to the table, which is part of what we do here, I guess. I definitely see that. So let's kind of look at both sides. Seller side. I want to talk about seller side first, because I think this is important. I have people who have their homes on the market, and after about 1 week, they're freaking out because their home hasn't sold, or it's not getting a lot of showings, or it's not getting the traction that they expected, which to me I have to kind of remind them constantly the data and go back to the data. And it starts before I even take the listing. At the listing agreement, I pull this data and I say, hey, in your neighborhood, homes are averaging 100 days on the market. Yes, some sold in a couple weeks, but look, this home was on the market for 6 months before it went under contract. But that average, when I pull that report and it says average 100 days, that means how much time it was on the market before it even went under contract. That's another 30 to 45 days for a standard contract. Could be 60 if there's some weird terms. But you figure that's a 3, 4, 5 month process to get your home sold. And I understand if you're a seller who has a vacant home or a home that you've already made your move out of, or if you're trying to move and you're looking at properties that are available and you're feeling like you're missing out on them, that's a long time. But honestly, that's a normal balanced market. A scary market, like a market crash market, is like, hey, my home was on the market for a year and it never sold, right? Instead, we're like seeing a couple months versus a couple years ago where we put it on the market, and if you didn't have your offer in 24 hours, you missed out. And buyers also know this. So I think they don't feel necessarily the pressure. They're not missing out on homes. So it's okay if they take their time. And for you, talking about the refinance world, some news we're getting into here, kind of about the projection of what's going to happen with mortgage rates. I think so much of the headlines affect us, and what people don't realize is it affects, like, it doesn't only affect the seller and the buyer, but it affects all the industry players. So sometimes it can be pretty frustrating when you're kind of out here doing this infotainment, education style stuff, and you're bringing facts and data, and the news headlines are just always playing the drama card and the fear card. And then it affects our clients, and you have to really break it down for them to get them to see it.
Well, a lot of things, unfortunately, in this world have become political. So I think, in Washington, there's just a little bit of back and forth on both sides that, our rates should be coming down further, but they're not because one side's stubborn versus the other, whatever it is. So we're not going to get into politics, but I think that is part of it. But we also have to understand that change is difficult, right? And so anytime you have a shift where homes were coming off the market, as soon as you put a sign in the yard and now having to wait, there's an adaptation process that you're going to go through, when it comes to that changing over. So I think we're kind of going through a little bit, if you want to call them growing pains, but I also think that when there is shift and change, there is also opportunity. And so I think that's the part people are missing. They just focus so much on the rates. But if you get a window where the rates are coming down, that is really the time to jump, because once they go lower and lower, you're going to lose all the advantages as a buyer that you had. So maybe that shifts more to the seller side. So people now are like, well, I'm going to keep waiting. If it's a refi, like, oh, $300 a month is not enough. I'm like, a guy told me that this week, and I was like, all right, man, we'll hope they keep coming down further. And then they don't, and then the guy could have saved money and he didn't. So it's sort of like what they say, old saying, a bird in the hand is worth more than two in the bush. When you have something that is there that you can take advantage of, sometimes it's better just to go after it. Not just a refi, but maybe a good house that has had price drops. They are offering concessions. They might do a buy down for you. You could ask for everything right now, and there's a good chance you're going to get it, or a pretty big portion of it. So
correct.
And you think about a rate, right? Real quick. You think about a rate, though, and they're like, oh, well, it's too high. Like, well, what does it cost you to have to spend $10,000 or $15,000 out of your pocket when you're buying a house, right? If it's $200 a month on your payment, okay, you're looking at 4 years basically to recoup $10,000 that you're going to pay in closing costs. People don't think about it that way. They just think of it like, oh, this is my payment, it's too high. Okay, if your payment is lower and you got to bring in another $10,000, $15,000, what difference is there? Now, long term, obviously there's more, but I think, like you mentioned, the media and all this stuff can just get people tunnel vision where they don't think long term or what impacts there may be.
Hey, is there any way you can turn up the gain on your mic a little bit? I'm just worried that we're not getting it full.
Maybe. Am I too far away from it?
Yeah, that mic's pretty sensitive. You gotta kind of put it on your teeth. You gotta get up.
How's that?
That is what we're looking for. Yeah, because I'm just watching the color.
Sorry, this thing is flickering, and like my camera is so zoomed in.
Just stare at it. Yes. Bird in the hand, we're two in the bush. We talk about it all the time. And we kind of talked about, so the same thing for sellers. And then you have sellers, they'll sit on the market. They've been on the market 3 months. And what that means, I think what they don't understand is they come to terms with the days. but they still expect activity. Meaning, I think what they expect is, it might take a few months, but at least we have one or two people looking every day, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, no. People are looking online. They're saving your home for later. They're coming to town next month. They'll talk to an agent when they get here, and then they'll go see it. That's what that 3 months, that 90 days, 100 days on the market means. It means you might only get 3 total showings in 100 days, and one of them gave you an offer, and you better reach an agreement on that offer, or else you're going to be waiting another 3 months. Maybe, but at that point, who knows, right? So,
well, that speaks also what I was mentioning, where if you're a buyer, you've got a lot of options, and you can ask the seller I would ask for the farm,
yes,
I'm an old Georgia boy. Ask for the farm, right? And
that's right.
All they can do is say no, but at the end of the day, they don't really want to wait another 60 days for somebody else to come by. So they'd rather give up more to get the home sold than have to wait for a buyer that may or may not come.
And as an agent who works both buyers and sellers, I'm coaching all my sellers like, listen, you've done a great job preparing the house, getting it ready, cleaning it, painting it, refreshing it, whatever it needs. My team has done a great job pricing it and marketing it, and the photos, the videos, the floor plans, all the websites, all the exposure. But the final ingredient there is like, what incentives are you going to offer? Because we know, especially in a place like Jacksonville, where there's constantly new growth, there's always an incentive being offered by the builders. And right now, the builders are buying the rate down. They're paying your closing costs. They're throwing in a golf cart at closing. That's what you're competing with, okay? And those homes aren't to be built 9 months out. Those are inventory homes. That's why they have the discount. So you as a buyer, or as a seller, you've got to compete with them. Now, not every buyer wants new, and so that's fine. But guess what they're going to be doing? They're still going to be comparing the incentives, and they're going to go after the homes that are offering them. So as a seller, you've got to be offering those 2-1 buy downs, or you've got to be offering some closing cost incentives so they can buy that rate down or pay their closing costs. Help them save as much money as possible.
Yeah, let's be honest. Most people are gravitating towards new construction right now. I mean, I think we've seen it. I mean, it's hard to say, well, I like this existing home, but are you going to give me $50,000 off the price and another $40,000 in coverage and things like that? Now, the builders obviously have the margin to build those things in, but it's tough because a lot of people are going new construction. So if you're not offering any incentives on your home as an existing home, you really got a pretty tall hill to climb.
Well, I can tell you I can usually pick up pretty quick. I can usually, in the first conversation, know whether people are going new construction or whether they're going to buy a resale. They typically aren't looking for, would you ever want, let's go look at both. They typically are like, I don't want new construction. I want this, or I do want it, and this is that. In Jacksonville, it's regional, so that has a lot to do with it. Somebody who wants to be on the south side of Jacksonville, well, there's not any new construction there really. So if that's their location, I know right offhand, like, hey guys, we're going to be looking at resale. If they're telling me, hey, I don't want to have to fix anything because I'm about to go on deployment and I need to live in between both bases. Well, we know the north side is like building a ton of homes. So guess what they're probably going to see there? And that's going to kind of direct their, what they're looking for, right? And some people just don't want it. They just don't. They have a belief that it's, and some of these beliefs are valid, but that it's not as good a quality, or it's not, or that it doesn't have charm. One of the things I don't like about new construction is there's no freaking trees. There's no shade. There's no and this is something people don't think about. You don't know who your neighbors are going to be. When I go out with a resale, we go to a neighborhood that's been around for 50 years. You go to the south side, you go to Mandarin, you go to Arlington, you go to the beaches or wherever, right? When I take a buyer there, we're not knocking on all the doors looking at the neighbors, but we're looking at how did they take care of their house? Does that house have a tarp on the roof? Does that house have cars on jacks? Or do I drive around and go, you know what? 8 out of 10 houses, they took pretty nice care. There was a couple, but for the most part, when you buy new, you have no clue what you're getting because nothing's had time. Everything just got new sod from the builder. Or if you bought in early, it's just dirt everywhere and you have no idea. And then over time, the people like, I mean, I have some in my neighborhood. I have some people that move. They walk their dog in my front yard for some reason and they live like back. Why? Well, you know, I didn't know that, but like also they don't cut their yard and their weeds are knee high. So it would have been a pretty good sign that they're not going to be the world's best neighbors. And it's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah. And you can high five your neighbor, you know, from your window to theirs on a lot of the new builds. But I mean, from your perspective though, I think a challenge that's presented with new builds is when you go to sell them, right? I mean, if you have so many houses that are, let's just be honest, exactly the same, there's no uniqueness to what you have. So I think when they've built so many of these up, and this is just my opinion, I'm not a realtor, but they're going to be tougher to sell. And if everybody decides they want to start selling their homes, I think it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. And I don't know. So what do you think about resales in new build neighborhoods?
Okay. Pros and cons. Here's the pros of resales in a new built neighborhood. If you live there until the neighborhood's completed, then I think you're okay. One, because there are a lot of similar floor plans, it's very easy for us to put the appropriate price on the property because we can see, hey, 3 of your floor plan just sold. They sold at this number. There's 2 other ones available that are 50 grand more. They're not selling, so we know exactly where to be on price, right? The other thing that is good about it is if you buy in early, every time the builder puts your floor plan under contract, they bump it up 3-5 grand. And so if you're kind of in there early, you're getting all the equity that the builder, like they don't never lower prices. All they'll do is keep doing incentives, but it keeps the equity in your house. So that's the pro. The con is if for some reason you have to move before the developer's done building, and this is at like certain parts of town, like out in Clay County, where it's not just your neighborhood, but there's like several. If you have to sell before those ones are selling, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a challenge.
Yeah. I mean, because they're going to say, well, you can buy my house or you can go get all the incentives that the builder is offering and take advantage of that. Can you give me all those incentives? No, I can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
I just bought my home 2 years ago or whatever it was.
However, the other side of that argument is if you're looking for that house hack model and you just want to live somewhere 2 to 3 years and then go get another one, maybe starting out in a new construction isn't a bad idea because the roof's only 3 years old, the HVAC's, maintenance wise, it's very new, and if you just did everything builder grade and you didn't do upgrades or overspend, this is a very rentable house. And then you can find a resale home somewhere, something with more character or something like that. That is definitely a big point. Yeah, I mean, they're boring. The other thing I would say too, I do go in homes where people go to resale and they think that they upgraded. They're like, oh, I paid for these upgrades. And I'm like, yeah, there's not really, like, you kind of got took on that. Or it's like, yeah, your neighbors all paid for the exact same upgrade. So there's not any value in that. Or they'll make small changes, like they'll take the wire shelves out of the closets and put like a piece of plywood in there and stain it and think that it's like a really fancy something they saw on TikTok. And it's like, sorry guys, didn't really up the value of your house at all.
Yeah, so, I mean, most upgrades are not going to give you back what you had to spend for it. Let's be honest. I mean, there's probably a few that will, but the majority of them are just going to make it better to sell.
Yeah. So what are rates? What's going on? I just looked at the 10-year yield as of like 10 minutes ago. It's down to 4.2. The spread has been getting better, right? Like we've been approaching that like 2-point spread. And so for people who don't watch us regularly or into it, usually your mortgage rate is like a 2-point spread. Well, I guess like 3 maybe is like the all-time average or something, but 2 to 3. So what that means is if the 10-year yield is at 4.2, then maybe the interest rate is at 6.2 at a 2-point spread. But what we saw over the last couple of years was we were up towards like a 4 and maybe even touching close to a 5-point spread. So as the yield was at 4.3, then we were at like 7.3 because we were at that 3-point spread. And that was one of the things that was hurting us. So I know we talk about so many factors, and then there's people who argue like, oh, well, the Fed rate doesn't control it. Well, directly, indirectly, along with the headlines, there's just so many factors that affect our mortgage rate. And so it's very hard to just say this one thing. If this one thing changes, then this will change. And there's so many other things in the economy that affect the 10-year yield and how the market responds to news and the tariffs and the non-tariffs and the taxes and non-taxes and trade and wars and everything. But all that being said, 10-year yield was at 4.2. We've been getting closer to that 2-point spread. Trevor, where are we at today on interest rates?
Well, that's a bit of a loaded question because there are different,
well, just give me the 30-year. Just give me the
that happened.
30,
but I mean, yeah, 30 years hovering around mid sixes right now. So I mean, you think
it's good.
Even back 2 years ago, I think I wrote some loans that were 8%. So I mean, it definitely has come down.
Yeah.
But again, people get in the mindset that it's going. This is going to turn to an avalanche, and sometimes it just fizzles out, and it doesn't.
We don't want that.
We don't. You're right. And so we have to find when we get breaks in rates, that is a good time to take advantage, and because you never know. And like I said, there's things every day. It's up and then it's down. The Fed didn't raise the rate, and then the jobs report came in poorly, and rates went down. So again, that goes back to our beginning conversation where we talked about this being politicized a little bit. And I think that it is, where they probably should have reduced rates and then had the jobs report, coming in low and then rates being reduced, kind of overall. But it does lead to a lot of, rates drop when the news headlines come in. And again, their rates are anticipatory. So it's not going to be like, hey, Fed reduced the rate. And now all of a sudden I wake up tomorrow and the rates are 2%. I mean, it's not going to work like that. It's going to be like, hey, we think they're going to reduce rates, or hey, we think the report for jobs that's going to come out is going to be poor. There's anticipation you're going to see that impact right away, even if they may not meet for 2 weeks after that. So, there are things that definitely impact it, similar like the stock market,
well,
rumors,
here's the deal.
speculation, whatever.
If you're listening to this and you're looking for some positive headlines, some positive news, I'm going to give it to you right here. The rates have been slipping. The spread between the yield and the rates has been improving. So those are both good things. And also everything in the economy, the stock market, the trade, the tariffs, everything is clicking. And the final piece to really unlock what they've been calling the golden age, and I know it's political promotion or whatever, but really if I go to Home Depot, I mean, I'm going to Home Depot and I've seen prices coming down on stuff. So it's not just what I'm reading and like consuming, but I'm also going out and I'm experiencing it for myself. I'm seeing a little bit change in prices. I know we've seen a little bit prices come down in our groceries, this and that. And everybody's basically just saying, well, the final ingredient is housing. And we're not quite close to affordable housing yet, but we are getting better. And we've seen this kind of balance. Like here, we've got some balance in our market. So that's good news. I know some homeowners, obviously, like I bought in 2022. So, living here, and then they built my house. So, 2 years in my house, I'm probably not in a position to sell it if I need to sell it, but that's okay because I plan to live here 7, 10, 15 years. So it doesn't matter because it's my home. And now that I've worked with Trevor, he got me my rate. We refinanced it down as soon as we could, as soon as we had an opportunity. So that was fine. But coming up, everybody's saying, I've been reading the news, JP Morgan Chase, all the investors, all the people at the top are predicting that we're probably going to see rate cuts the rest of the year. So if you've been waiting, now would probably be a time to start mobilizing on the buy side. And here's what happens. You're not the only one. You're not the only one waiting. And so as rates have come down, mortgage applications have gone up. Okay. Inventory, new listings have come down. Inventory's kind of balanced. We've already hit all the peak. So don't expect more inventory than there already is. And as soon as, if rates come down and activity starts, there's nothing that's going to force the price down. So if prices go up, you might be sitting at the same monthly payment anyway. But so if you could get in, and then if rates come down, if they do have 4 or 5 rate cuts, and in 6 months or a year from now, rates are in 5.5, and you want to refinance then with Trevor, like you're really sitting good because you got in. And there's no data that says crash. I have people on Twitter, I post this news and it's all charts. I post all these charts and data and news and article this and article that, and I share it. And of course they make some comment and they're like some dumb retard agent because that's what they just think everybody is. And then, and you know what? The ironic thing is that they don't ever have their picture's never in their headlines or in their profile. It's never a real name. It's always some phony person. So Where's the data? Bring the data to that argument. So I'd challenge you, if you're sitting out there and you're listening and you're like, yeah, but my uncle said the market's going to crash, and ask him for the data. Show me the data, because that's what we're bringing here.
No, man, it's definitely so much false information that's out there. And unfortunately, people believe a lot of things that they see online, and people will just throw things out without any, as you mentioned, data to back it up with. But, I think of it in context of, whenever these rates do fully drop, and it's a really great point you made about, you're not the only one waiting. And people just think sometimes like, oh, I'm going to be the only one that figures this out, and I'm going to hit it at the perfect time. Well, you and a million other people are also thinking that. So It's like if you have something that, let's just say it's on sale at the store 2 weeks before Black Friday, it's a good deal. Pretty solid. I mean, okay, maybe it might be a few bucks cheaper on Black Friday. I mean, you could buy it right then, or you could wait till Black Friday when you and 10,000 other people are going to be waiting at the line, to get in the door. And then all of a sudden you either can't get that product, or you have to pay more for it, or you have to go and buy it online. They're going to sell you, double the price. Maybe that's not a great analogy, but I just think about things like when there's a good opportunity to take advantage, because refinancing is possible, and refinancing can happen typically 6 months after you're in a property. So if rates do drop, hey man, I'm laughing all the way to the bank because I just got 20 grand from the seller for concessions and buy downs or whatever.
Right.
And now 6 months from now, I'm getting the same rate that everybody else is getting now. But they're having to pay all their closing costs, and they're having to come up with more money, no incentives, but
purchase price went up.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think just waiting, I get so tired of people saying, oh, we're going to wait till this, like they know. I think they get, we said before, detrimentally optimistic, where they think that they know better than everybody else, or they're going to hit the perfect time.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like stocks too. Stocks will take off, and you're like, I've made so much money in this. Now, should I sell? No, I'm gonna ride it out. And my dad did that during COVID, and had a stock that went really high, but stayed in it maybe too long.
Yeah.
And
could
have made a lot of money and didn't. Yeah. Anyways.
The beauty of not being a panicking, right? I like that word got invented. I've been jumping on that word. But, it really is something. And it's just ironic, because it's like we sit here, and I guess what people don't see, maybe because maybe, and there's so many people, I'm not going to say who they are, but there's a lot of people that only see the tangible. So they don't understand that so much of what you and I do is just research and study and research and understanding, so that when we talk and when we say this stuff, that's where it comes from. It doesn't come from a place of opinion. It comes from a place of research and data-driven observations. And often the people who are arguing it with you, I notice it's not their job, and I don't know what they do, but they don't do this. So it's kind of frustrating, because you're like, gosh, I literally do this for a job. Like one guy commented on there, he was like, well, I have a real job, so I don't have time to bring the data. And I'm like, literally, you're right. The data is my job. That's what I do. Like, I was like, where's the data that you want to show me? He's like, oh, I don't have time for that. I have a job. But he wanted to argue everything I had to say. I'm like, bro, this is my job. This is my job. And it's not a fake job. It's a real job. You get paid based on, like you get paid based on what value you bring to the world. So the fact that I get paid a decent amount means that it's pretty important, or else you wouldn't get paid that much.
Yeah.
I don't know how people don't understand that.
Well, those are keyboard warriors, And
we're all over the place today. You're welcome.
Well, it's all right, man. But you do get the keyboard warriors that are online and, again, don't have any experience or expertise in any of this stuff. And not that we're the best, but I think we're a couple guys that have been here for a minute, understand it, know how to treat people right. Trying to put information out there that's going to help people. This is not like a tug on people or trying to strong arm them into buying a house or whatever. If I was buying a house, if I was in the market, I would be buying right now 100%. Because as soon as this thing shifts, you're like, oh man,
funny?
Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Because
isn't it funny how when it's like slow, the experts in the industry are like, hey, it's kind of slow. That's an advantage. This is your chance to really get something good. But people wait until it's like herd mentality. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as they see activities up, then they jump and they go do it. And by that point, there's no incentive left for them, and they pay more. And it's like the people who end up paying more are always the people who sit on the sidelines and wait until everyone else is in the game. But anyway, all right, let's sum it up. 3 takeaways. Takeaway 1, Jacksonville market has become pretty balanced, pretty steady, right? We're seeing 90 days on market in some areas. We're seeing, when we research national data and local data, we're basically sitting at like 1% growth. So we're not going backwards. We've seen prices come. We've seen price reductions. But overall, we're at a healthy market. We're sitting at like 4.5 months supply inventory, right where we want to be. So that's key takeaway 1. Key takeaway 2 is if you're a buyer, interest rates have been slipping and there's sign that they're going to keep coming down, which is a good thing. But if you wait too long, you're going to miss out on the advantages of the incentives that you can get right now. If you take advantage of the rates that are available today, of the incentives that are available, or you may even get a lower rate than what's out there. And experts like Trevor and me can help you negotiate that into your deal. And so you can actually save money in the long run. And then if rates don't come down, no problem, because you got in at a good time. And if they do come down, there's always the option to refinance. And then the last one for sellers, you've got to have your expectations right. The buyers are being choosy, right? You don't have to give your home away, but also expect to be on the market for more than a weekend. You've got to have your home presented well, expert marketed, and you've got to compete with new builds here in Northeast Florida. So you've got to offer some sort of incentive to kind of offset that. Those are my 3 takeaways, everything I'm seeing in this month. I'm excited that we're getting back to school. Summer's almost over officially. I think we're going to have a busy fall market and may just keep going all the way into spring. Trevor, what do you got? Give me, what are your
those are great.
On the
those
month?
are great. Those are great takeaways. I mean, I can't express enough. Now is just a really great time. I'll stop saying it. If you've bought a home, I would say in the last couple of years, it might be a good time to look at refinances for VA folks, for FHA folks, even some conventional folks, and especially for veterans. The VA requires us to, when we do a refinance for you to recover what you're spending within 36. You're not going to overspend. It's got to make sense. So if you're saving $200 a month, your cost can't be more than $3,600. It's a pretty low costing option, and again, an opportunity for you to take advantage of lower rates. Sure, you could wait. Maybe they come lower, but maybe they don't. And then that passes you by. Now you're stuck paying an extra $200 a month that you didn't have to. So, that's to the veterans out there, but everybody else, the time is now.
Yeah, absolutely. Trevor, last thing. According to MBA, Mortgage Bankers Association, mortgage applications were up 10% plus last week, but a majority of that was refinance. So Trevor's not just making this up. People are out there. They're seeing a value in it. If you want proof of it, if you want to see the charts, if you want to see the data, we've got all that stuff to share with you. Just comment below. Just comment data below. And we'll be sure to send it to you and get our links to you, and you'll have all the stuff you need to make a comfortable, confident decision.
Yeah, or if you see us on here and you want to find out if a refinance makes sense, give us a call. I mean, happy to look at it for you and see if it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, I'm surely not going to put you in something that I don't think is a benefit to you, but might be worth looking at with the recent drops that we had.
That's it. I'll have all our contact info below. Trevor, you got anything else? Close us out, man.
Nope. Glad school's back in. Getting a little bit of my energy back. So I'm happy to get back in some structure. To all the parents out there, I know you're excited, probably as well. It's weird how it's a different shift from when you're a kid. You're like, oh man, it's dread going back. And now as an adult, you're like,
no,
this is amazing.
Oh, it is amazing. I love it. You almost feel, you love your kids. You love them to death. I love my kids to death. And you almost feel guilty saying it, but you're like, God, man, I'm so, and honestly, everybody, I'm sure there's so many people that work from home now. Like I work from home. I have 4 children. Trevor has 37 children. And the fact that I have 2 out of 4, my screamers are in school. I don't know what maybe it's just the age range they're in, all that energy they got, but they're the ones that run around the house instigating and picking fights and stuff. They're back at school, and my sweet precious angels are the ones that are left here. So it's gonna be nice.
It is. Happy school to the parents. I know it's a relief for me, and I'm sure it is for you guys out there too.
Happy school. If you're looking to make a purchase on a home here in Jacksonville in Northeast Florida, go to riggsgroupfl.com, hit the link below in the description, and we'll get in touch with you. We'd love to help you with your process.